Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to have you here for cooking lamb with an Asian infusion. Today, we'll be making three flavorful dishes featuring ground lamb. I Today we'll be making the Asian lamb and ramen, the lamb wonton with spicy sauce over a spring salad, and a Thai curry lamb rice bowl. So, as you know, ground lamb is an economic, really versatile ingredient. And these recipes will show you how easy it is to incorporate into your meals. Before we dive in, here's how today's workshop will flow. I'll walk you through each recipe step by step, sharing techniques, cooking tips, and answering any questions you have along the way. So feel free to email questions in the chat box. And I have a great crew here that's helping me today. And if you can't cook along in real time, don't worry. You'll be receiving a playback link, and I have sent the full recipes before the workshop, and I'll resend those as well. So let's get started. First off, we're going to do the Asian lamb and ramen bowl. And this is a rich, savory bowl of unami goodness. It's one of my favorite comfort dishes. It's perfect for a cool day when you just want to warm up and you have rich flavors that are infused in this broth. It's a coconut milk broth base. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to put together um, all of the herbs and the flavor that we're going to infuse into the broth. And this is a little bit of a different technique that I have found, but it's one that really elevates the flavors. So first of all, I'm going to just follow along on my recipe card here. We're going to be adding garlic, and what we're doing is we're putting all of these herbs and flavors into a little blender bowl, and we're going to blend this up so that it's like a slurry. And then we're going to be just lightly browning it in a pan, and then we'll be adding the broth and the coconut milk to it, and we'll let that infuse while the broth is infusing. Then we'll be browning the meat, and really this goes together super quickly if you have all the ingredients organized and ready to go. Um, a few tips. We use a lot of garlic in these recipes and a lot of ginger. And probably all of you know how to peel garlic, but I've just found using a big knife on the side to break the covering really helps get those all peeled. So we have 6 garlic in here. Another little trick that I use, buy big bags of ginger, fresh ginger, and then I just throw it right in the freezer, and it keeps for a long time. And then it's just super easy to peel. And once I've gotten it peeled, and some people use a side of a spoon, I've seen. I just can't quite get the peel off as well as just using a little knife. And then you're ready to grate it. And with it somewhat firm, it's just super easy to grate with a fine grater is what I always use. So get that ginger finely grated in there. And if you get a few little chunks, that's okay because we'll be blending it up. but we want it as fine as possible. Because we want it smooth. Now, once we've infused the broth, I've made this recipe two different ways. I've infused the broth with all of this flavor, and then I've strained out any little texture bits so that you get a super smooth broth. I've also just left it in the herbal flavorings, and it's been just fine too. So it's just personal preference, and I guess how much you want to fuss. Um, to this, we'll add just fresh cilantro. Again, cilantro is something that I use a lot of in Asian dishes. It's just such a bright flavor profile. Um, and it has such great nutritional value to it. I know a lot of people are either in the cilantro camp or totally despise it, but we love it here. So I add lots. And then another base flavor that I use a lot of is red chili paste. I had been using the powder for for a long period of time, but I feel like the paste just really adds a fresher flavor and a deeper red curry flavor profile. So I buy a big bag of this red curry paste. I just keep it in the fridge and it lasts for a long, long time. It has a big punch to it, flavor wise. So that's what I'll be using. There's a few different brands out there. So just find the one that you like the best. I'm happy to share the brand that I use if you're interested in that. And then to this, we'll just add a little bit of chicken broth just so it blends well. And I did need to get the turmeric out. This adds a great flavor as well. So what we're going to do is quickly blend this, and using any kind of blender. It's just, not that big of a batch. I'll blend it up real quick. Oh, this got a little tweaked in the dishwasher. Not going on super straight. Dear. We'll give that a try. Nope. Okay. I'm gonna do a quick swap real quick. Sorry, technical difficulty here. And I'm gonna just throw this in my food processor. If I can get this lid off. It's cross-threaded. I think I need some muscles. Thank you. Okay. So there's usually more than one way to do something, right? We're punting here. Thank you. It's okay. It's all right. Thank you. All right. So we'll get it in here real quick and get it blended. The biggest thing is just to blend it so that it's more of a paste form. This isn't gonna get it to the consistency that a blender would, but it'll be close. Okay. So as you can see, like I said, this isn't going to be a smooth paste like I would normally have it be in a blender, but that's okay. We'll just go with it. And then I'm going to use this pan to saute these herbs. And get my, okay, just use a little bit of olive oil here. And what I do is I just saute this till it gets really aromatic in flavor. You know, just a little bit of caramelizing makes it lovely. Well, hot Glen. And then once this is cooked, we're going to be adding 2 cans of coconut milk. This is a very richly infused coconut milk broth that we're building the profiles for. We'll get it there. I think because this is a little chunkier than what I usually have it, I will be straining it once we get it cooked. So the trick here is to infuse the broth and the chicken, the coconut milk just long enough to really get that umami flavor going, to build a really nice broth profile. Now, while this is simmering, we'll get the ground lamb going, and that's just lightly seasoned. I don't know if you've ever built a ramen bowl before, but they're kind of fun to make and build and eat. So to this, then it's just about 2 cups of chicken broth that I'll add. Now I'm gonna just let this hang out and simmer. That is already smelling amazing. And now what I'm going to do is take the 1/2 pound of ground lamb and we'll get that sauteing on the stove. And to that, we're just going to add a little more curry paste and then a little bit of garlic powder. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just put that right to this side. Garlic powder. We use a lot of fresh garlic, but for the meat, the garlic powder is nice. We'll get this going. Now with lamb, it is a little well fatty, so I do like draining off the fat once I've gotten it browned. Why is my cat waiting? Okay, there we go. Get that going. And a 1/2 pound I have found is plenty for the ramen bowl. The, you have the noodles and the broth and the ground meat. And then I like to put a, a yolky hard-boiled egg in the bowl along with fresh cilantro and some lime juice. For the ramen noodles, I am using this millet and brown rice ramen noodle. I find that it holds up really nicely, and it cooks quickly as well. So we'll get this browning and then get that going a little more. Okay. Bowls. Up the rice is done. So with ground lamb, the the curiosity for me was, how can I flavor a really versatile cut of meat of lamb that's also one of the most economical cuts of lamb? And really, I have found that lamb receives flavor very, very well. Um, I have found that the spicier notes of the chili peppers, the bright notes of ginger and citruses, it just really lends well to lamb in general, but especially these ground lamb recipes. And that's what got me thinking about, how can I create recipes that are of an Asian flavor profile with lamb to make them just amazing. And I've really enjoyed making these dishes and sharing them with others. And they're always surprised that it's ground lamb that I'm using. Of course, the milder lamb meat from heritage sheep is a key. Sourcing your lamb, understanding where it's coming from and how it's raised, how it's processed. I always recommend that you find lamb with a low lanolin content because that equals a milder flavor profile in your lamb meat overall. Okay, so that is done. And like I said, I just like getting that extra fat off. And you could drain the fat off before you add the flavor, but I do like to brown have browned the chili powder or chili paste in with the meat. I feel like it just adds a nicer flavor profile to it. So that's why I add in the seasonings to the raw meat versus waiting. Okay. So while that's hanging out, this water is ready. So I like these little cakes because they're easier to kind of keep together when you put them in the bowl to build the ramen bowl. So that will take about 8 minutes. So I'll set the timer for that. And then what we're going to do is we're gonna put the broth in the bowls first, and then we'll put the meat, and then the noodles, and then the egg, and then your fresh toppings on the top. I kind of like building the ramen noodles one step at a time. So with the broth, it's simmering nicely. I'm just gonna yeah, we'll just strain this. It's nice to have it just simmer for about 20 minutes, but due to our timing, I won't simmer it quite that long, but in your own home, that's what I would recommend, just so you get a really beautiful, deep flavor profile of all those herbs. And then we'll use just a little strainer. Don't really want that boiling. Just to simmer if you can. Maybe we'll pull it off there. Okay. So get this ready. Okay. Get our chopsticks ready. All right. So that's the creamy curry lamb ramen. And I hope that you will enjoy making it and sharing it with your loved ones. Um, it's it's just one of our favorites now. So I'm gonna strain this, and this is um, the simplest way that I've found to strain the broth, um, to just get the bigger chunks out. But maybe you can find a way that works better for you. Well, and this really makes, a nice serving for 4 to 6, depending on how big of bowls you like. But I'll show you we'll get 2 bowls made here for demonstration purposes. And again, this is a little chunkier than what I normally use or have for the herbs, but that's okay. Let's just make it work this time. So this is how I strain it, and then we'll start building this. So to the holes, I just usually put a nice little scoop in the corner of the bowl. Then we'll add the egg. I have some farm fresh eggs ready to go, and I like them just a little jammy. Put in, maybe I put a little too much broth, but and then on top of that, add cilantro. And I find that lime, just a little sprinkle of lime on all of these dishes really just add that final touch of flavor that just elevates it. So we always use lime in all of these dishes. But again, it's just personal. It's for you. Make it yours, definitely. But this has been, um, like I said, one of our favorite dishes. Okay. And then these noodles are almost ready. Almost. Yeah, and like I said, they stay together really nice. You can find this brand Lotus Foods. Um, it's just a really clean ingredients. And like I said, this is a brown rice and millet blend that I've just really liked. Um, those are ready. Shut. You want to, yeah. Mm. So I just take the whole cake and put it in the corner. And we've made a really nutritious, very filling meal in just minutes. A little sprinkle of lime juice, and you are good to go. So I'll be excited to hear if you guys make this dish and what you think of it. Love hearing feedback from you guys. So now we're going to go on to the next dish, which is making lamb wontons. And this is a little more labor intensive for sure. I'll get things set up for that. Okay. This wonton recipe is not an original to me. I will say that, but I have tweaked it uh, quite a bit actually, and it's one that I find is really versatile. We're going to be serving it over a salad. That's our favorite way, and you can use it as an appetizer, just eating the wontons by themselves. Um, but they're fun little bites to create. So with that, um, we're gonna start by blending up. I'm gonna do just a half a pound of the meat today. I'll just make enough for extra take some time to make, but I feel like it's worth going through the steps of making it. So for the wonton innards, we're going to use a half a pound of the ground lamb, and then to that we're going to add the recipe calls for scallions. These are little gold coin onions that I grew this last year, and they're a real mild onion. That's basically what you're looking for. And then you just want to finely chop that up, and we'll add that to the meat. Everything needs to be finely chopped because we're going to be just putting a little dab in each of the wonton wrappers. And then we'll be boiling them. And at that point, you can decide if you want to keep them soft as cooked wontons, or if you want to fry them in a little bit of tallow or lard for a crispier flavor, crunch, I guess. I like them just a little bit fried on a salad, but when we're just eating them, um, dipping them in sauce just as a little snack or an appetizer, the softer wonton is a really nice flavor. So they're really versatile that way. The real yummy uh, taste profile is in this sauce that I'll be sharing with you. Um, and again, this calls for some freshly grated um, ginger. So we'll just get that going again. Um, I just pulled this out of the freezer just a little bit ago, and I'll grade this up. It just works so well. I've done ginger this way for a lot of years, and I found it just works really well. I can buy it in bulk and always have ginger on hand. Okay. Then we're going to add some Bragg's amino acid. And I use the coconut amino sauce to it. And that's just 1 tablespoon. And then a little bit of sesame oil for a nice rich flavor profile. And then a little bit of cumin. And then we'll chop up some fresh cilantro. You see that I do a lot of measuring from my heart, but there are measurements um, in the recipes, and they do work. So, however you cook, go for it. Just chop up this fresh. So, all these recipes just have a really fresh tasting element to them, which lends well to lamb. Lamb is a little bit fattier of a meat than like a chicken. And so I think that's why the ginger and the um, citrus notes really play well with it. Okay, we'll get this mixed up. Then what we're going to do is I have the wonton wrappers just under just a little bit of a moist towel. You don't want them to dry out. Um, once you get them wrapped, it's fine, but you want to keep them pliable as we work them. So I have this mixed well with all these nice flavors. And one thing you could do is mix this all up and like in the morning. And if you want to make the wontons, then in the evening, just let it hang out in the fridge during the day. And those flavors are just going to marry together and make a really nice, deeper flavor, even. So here's the wontons. And like I said, we'll just make a few just to go through the process. What I need is a little bit of water. And then I just like using a tablespoon measurement. So what I do first is I just dip my finger in the bowl of water and I just outline um, the the edge of the wonton wrap, and that's going to help it stick together. And then with your tablespoon measure, um, put it in one corner and then fold it over. And I like to just kind of push it down. 1 tablespoon might be a little much. No, maybe we'll do it. All right. And then from that, you just want to take the little wings and wipe them down and then tuck it in. So you're making a little envelope, basically. You want to just make sure that everything is sealed so that when we go to simmer them in water, they don't bust apart. So play around with the amount. I'm going to put a little less than a tablespoon in this next wrap and see if that might wrap up a little better. But a little mound helps. So I've just put it in one of the corners, and then you fold it over to make a triangle, and then push down all around the edge. Get that well sealed. And then the wings, you want to just wet those and then squeeze that together. So you have a little package. We'll do a few more. I'm gonna stick them in the simmering water, and they don't take that long to cook. On the recipe that I sent out, um, I said between 3 to 4 minutes. So they'll actually float to the top once they're done, and that's kind of your indicator that they're ready to pull out. So this one had just a little bit more. Yeah, play around with that a little bit. There. I'm getting a good seal on it. And again, get the little wings wet. And if any of you have any questions along the way, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. We have a great team here that's helping me. Let me know. So these wontons, I guess with planning ahead, they could be considered, you know, something that you could use a meal for during the week. But because they take a little more time, it might be something if you're looking for just a special little dish to break out of the norm. These are really fun. And this is a great activity to do with kids. If you have grandchildren or children that love to help you in the kitchen, this is a really fun project to do with them. I'm always looking for ways to incorporate the kids in the kitchen. I had taught a home cooking class to a high school group, and one class I had, I think, only 2 girls. All the rest were boys. And I told the guys I was so proud of them for wanting to take a cooking class. That's one thing that all of us have to do is eat. And if we can learn how to cook good food with great flavors, it's just going to serve us well in life. Oh, okay. I have 5 of these. Maybe we'll just um, do those. So I'm going to let this hang out here. by the pan of water. And then we're gonna talk about um, the dressing because the dressing is a little bit unique in that it's a chili oil dressing that then I add in a little bit of homemade mayonnaise to make it a creamy dressing. And it's just really, really yummy. But the part of the dressing we want to heat the oil with the chili flakes. So we're gonna I'm gonna build the dressing right here, and then we'll put it on the stove and get that warmed up. But that heat is going to really infuse the red chili flakes into the oil, and it'll actually be a little bit of a um it'll uh butter just a little bit, but that'll that'll be okay. So we're going to add the fresh garlic. There's lots of fresh garlic in these recipes, um, which makes it good. And then we're going to add a little bit of maple syrup to it to add just a little bit of a sweet element to the dressing. So there's garlic and a little bit of maple syrup. I have see, it is 1 teaspoon of the maple syrup. Add that. And a little bit of black pepper. Fresh is always best. Okay. And then we're gonna heat actually the I did this wrong. Good. Pull that off real quick. Sorry about that. So scratch what I just did. We're going to put this in a bowl real quick. And I need to warm up the oil. Sorry. Okay. So I'm just using olive oil today. You could use a more neutral oil if you have avocado oil. That's been something that I've used before. But it's just 3 tablespoons of oil. We'll get that in there. And then the red chili flakes, I just use that kind. And we will sprinkle that over the oil. This is where the heat going to come from. Okay, so we'll put this on and we're going to bring this to a simmer. Hit that simmering, and then we'll add the garlic. Get that wrong. And then we're gonna layer in other flavors to this oil mixture. Once we've gotten this made and it's cooled, then we'll add the mayonnaise aside. This is just a little bit of oil now, but it has all the flavor that we're looking for. So to the oil now, we're going to add 3 teaspoons of the amino acid, and then 2 teaspoons of the vinegar. And pour that into a little dip. This can either be where you um, use this as more of a dipping oil, um, or like what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of um, chicken broth to it. And then once this completely cools, now we'll add the mayonnaise to it. And it just this really creamy, rich dressing that then we'll put on over our salad. I'm going to let that cool just a little bit more. And we're going to shift over and get these wontons going. Well, so the water is boiling. I'm going to just set them in there. And like I had mentioned before, you see how they have sunk to the bottom of the pan. Then you just let them hang out there until they rise to the top. And that's when you know they're done. The other thing that you can do if you want to just make for sure that they're done is using a thermometer. I always recommend using a thermometer if in doubt. And we're looking for an internal temperature of between 145 and 150 degrees. So they don't take long. We'll lay a little paper towel down. Might be a little robust of a boil there. And today we're just gonna boil them, and then I'll do just a quick little fry for a crispy top. Now this, just wipe this out and you can use some of that flavor. We had that pepper, the warm pepper can be a little irritating to the nose, just to warn you. Okay, I have some beef tallow here that I'm gonna be frying this in. It doesn't take much. We only have 5 of these wontons. I'll get the heat going here, and then they'll be ready to go. One thing you want to do is um, tap them with a paper towel just so you get some of that oil off, because this can be a little splattery. Okay. Okay, so let's check the internal temperature of this. So again, we're looking for between 100 and, oh, 145, 150, and we're not quite there. So let that hang out a little bit. Get that oil simmered. And there was one that was, there was a bigger amount of meat in it. So being consistent with the meat. Okay, so we're at 158 on this one. That one's not quite ready. Nope. Okay, that's why I like temping them. There we go. That one's ready. And I've used different kinds of thermometers. I've just found this digital kind with the pokey probe really has worked nice for me. Okay, that's ready. Let's see. I think this is the one that I made probably extra big. Yeah. So it's at 160. Okay. So that was quick. You can see how quick that takes. Make them. Now for the just crisping up, this is going to be splattery. I have a feeling. And you could use ghee or, an oil. I like to use tallow or um, lard if I can for frying. I feel like it's the a good choice. So we'll just fry those up until they're somewhat browned. I have it a little bit lower heat than what I had thought. Oh, let's see. I'm in trouble here with this burner. There we go. Okay. Now we're going. There we go. So these cook up real quick. And like I said, we're just wanting to crisp up the outer shell. They're fully cooked. So that's not what why we're frying these up. We're just wanting to crisp them up real quick. There we go. And then I always like to, again, put them on some paper towel to absorb any of that extra fat. Hmm. And this is the salad that we'll be putting them on. And this just makes such a yummy, fun way to eat your veggies with a little bit of protein crunch to it and a zippy dressing. Yeah, these are looking great. There we go. Like I said, I just made a few, depending on how many people you're going to be feeding. Um, I found a good serving amount is between, 3 and 6 per person. If it's for a full meal. So those are nice and crunchy. They're gonna add a fun element to this salad. Okay. Well, those are soaking up. I think I'm going to use this. Not quite sure what happened to that mayonnaise I just made, but um, I like adding about a tablespoon of mayonnaise into the infused chili pepper oil. And I love this little whizzer. If you guys don't have one, they're super inexpensive and just a great way to incorporate liquids, blend that up. It smells wonderful. Whoop. Okay. All right. I will move this over here. And then how I like to plate it up is putting it on top of this salad. I put the cabbage on top. That makes a nice bed for the warm wontons. And then sprinkle a little sesame seeds over it. And then dress it, the dressing. Then I like to add cilantro on top. Again, I know cilantro's a personal preference, but just adds a lot. And then the last step is to add just a little bit of lime juice all over your greens and the fried wontons. This just makes a really bright, fresh, um, but rich, flavored salad for you to make. There's the wonton salad. If there are any questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, the red curry stir fry, I have included that recipe. There aren't any special techniques to that recipe, so I'll just leave it for you to explore and experiment with and enjoy incorporating into your family's meals. The stir fry is one that I keep on repeat. We love rice bowls here, and to have a creamy curry lamb stir fry with fresh vegetables over a little bit of rice, it just seems like the perfect dinner to round out the day and end on a high note with good protein and um, a great vegetable source. So I hope you enjoyed the dishes today. I hope you're inspired to try something new. And I'm really excited to hear from you if you've tried these recipes. If you'd like to share any ideas you have with me, I always am open to learning new things as well. I wish you the very best and happy cooking.